Hello dear students, welcome to the online class for the students of BA Part 1st English Literature. In this video we are going to study the poem Death Be Not Proud written by Donne. As you can see on your screen students that this poem was written by Donne, who is considered a metaphysical poet in the Elizabethan period. Metaphysical poets analyzed love, religion, and life from a psychological point of view. And this holy sonnet presents an argument against the power of death. The poet addresses death as a person. He gives physical characteristics to inanimate idea or concept. Inanimate means that doesn't have life, and in this poem, there are three quatrains. The first quatrain is in the first line, the speaker is personifying death, telling him that he should not be proud, although some people call him mighty and dreadful. But it is not so, and this is the reason for not being proud. The speaker then says that death cannot do anything because the things that he killed many people, but actually they are not dead. Then he addresses death, saying that death is a poor thing, even though he cannot destroy or kill him. So, this is the paraphrase of the first quatrain. Let's come to the second quatrain. Thus, in the second quatrain, the speaker is giving us a proof that death is just like sleep and rest. He is comparing death to sleep and rest, and he is asking what we get from sleep and rest but pleasant. And this is also very reliable answer, that uh, what we get from sleep and rest, the answer is pleasure. And if we sleep and rest are a copy from the original, so from death we are going to get more pleasure. So, in this quatrain, the poet is not afraid of being dead, and he is comparing death to only the mode of sleep and rest, and he is saying that from death we get more pleasure. The speaker is telling us that when death come to us, it will free our souls, and it will rest our bones, and our souls will fly from this prison, which is the body. So, he is telling us that we should not afraid from it because it happen every day. And now after reading the second quatrain, let's come to the third quatrain. The speaker in the third quatrain, the speaker is giving us another proof that death is not mighty. Mighty means powerful. Death is not powerful. He is considering death as a slave to faith because the slaves can't control themselves, but they obey orders, especially when people want to commit suicide. He goes with them, and also he is a slave to chance and kings. So, in this poem, the poet is comparing death to slave. Then the speaker is describing to us the place when death is living in, and that it is surrounded by poison, wars, and sickness. So he is not powerful or mighty because it can change its surroundings. The speaker is saying that anyone can have a long sleep by using drugs or any kind of medicine. So, death is not so strong enough, and this is better than striking us because we will be waiting to die. After all, the speaker is asking him why he is proud of himself. And the last part of this poem is called the couplet. As you all know, that couplet is the pair of two lines, and that's why it's called couplet. The speaker is telling death that he is not afraid. In the last two lines of the poem, the poet is telling death that he is not afraid of death because after this sleep he will wake up and live eternally. Eternally means forever, and death in the other life will have no place for him, and he shall be finished. In this poem, uh, there are some of the figures of speech used, and in this poem we can see that the rhyme scheme is ABBA, 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 and the last couplet rhyming scheme is AA. In this sonnet, as you all know, students, sonnet is a poem of 14 lines, and in this sonnet, John Donne mixed the Shakespearean and the Petrarchan sonnet. Shakespearean according to the division, Petrarchan according to the rhyme scheme. And the meaning of the words are, in the poem we can see these difficult words like mighty means powerful, thee means you, delivery means to reach freedom, slave means servant, fate means destiny or luck, desperate means one who feds up, means one who gets annoyed, does means does, sickness means ill, poppy is a kind of red flower which gives us opium, charms means different ways of putting person to sleep, stroke means attack, swell means to become big, eternally means forever, and shall means, in the old English it is written as shalt, and the meaning is the same, that is shall. So in this poem, the poet John Donne, who is a metaphysical poet and belonged to Elizabethan period, in this poem he again speaks about death according to his psychological point of view. And as we can see, students, that this poem is, there are some figures of speech used in this poem. This poem is full of alliteration, like in line number 1, thou and thee, both the words start from the letter T, and in the line 3 there is also alliteration, thus and thou, those and thou. Line number 4, die and death, canst and kill. Line number 6, we can see many alliteration used here, much, more, must, than and thee, and from and flow. In line number 10, there is used does and dwell, with and war. Alliteration is a kind of figures of speech. In this type of figure of speech, there is a repetition of the same sound. In line number 12, there is used then and thy, thou and then. In line number 13, one, we and wake. So the sound v is repeated here. Line number 14, in line number 14 you can see that death and die, shall and shall, it is used. The second figures of speech is used here, metaphor. He compares death to a slave. As you all know, students, that when the poet compare an object to another, it is called metaphor, and it is also called implied simile. He compares death to a slave. Metaphor with personification. And here in this poem, the poet again is using personification, like death. Death he is using, and he is addressing death as an animate object. He compares death to a person who is proud. Donne ends the poem with paradox and irony, and he is saying in the last line, death thou shalt die, means death you shall die, not me. Death is given negative human traits like pride and manly. Death is likened to sleep, a commonplace image. One more figure of speech used here is metonymy. Metonymy means when we use a part of something is used as a whole. Poppy and charms refer to the use of opium and magic to produce sleep or to produce a gentle death. So here poppy and charms used to refer the use of opium and magic. Poppy is metonymy, it is what is derived from the poppy, that is opiate, not literally the flower itself. Means the meaning is different. Poppy is here not used as a kind of flower, but it is used as to show the use of opium. Donne's theme tells the reader that death has no right to be proud. This poem is a metaphysical poem. It deals with human experience as much of the poetry that was written during those times However, the poets of the era, being intelligent and educated, meant that the poetry they wrote would tackle the profound areas of experience. So this is all about this poem, students. I will send you the PDF of this poem, and where you can correlate this video to the text of the poem. That's all, students. Thank you very much.